We are looking at the organism. We're starting at the smallest particle, which was our chemistry, where we talked about the elements and how we're going to see these elements combine. They're going to form molecules, compounds, all this sort of stuff. So now we're moving up to our next level, going from the smallest to the largest, which is going to be us, the organism. And we're going to look at how molecules come together and make our cells. So we're going to now look at what takes place with our cells. And this right here is the basic structure that we're usually given when we hear the animal cell. Now, how do I know that that's an animal cell? No cell wall. Is there any other way that I could know? No chloroplast. And one other difference. Is there another difference of how I could know that that is an animal cell? Vacuole. Yeah, you had the V's right. So there's no huge, large vacuole. This is pretty much a representation of the animal cell. Be familiar with this. Know how to label this, okay? And we're going to actually talk about all of these parts. How many of you print off the slides? Can you kind of take a peek for me real quick and see how many slides I've got devoted just to the plasma membrane? I forgot to bring them with you. I think Carolyn's got it. Do I have like 20 some odd slides devoted to just the plasma membrane? 20 some odd slides. How many do I have devoted just for the nucleus that houses the DNA? Should be 1. Now, does that give you an idea of how important the plasma membrane to the cell is? 20 some odd slides versus 1 for the nucleus. If you can learn this concept, if you can learn what I'm going to teach you about the plasma membrane, you're going to be able to understand every topic that you will be studying from this point forward. It's extremely important to understand the structure of the plasma membrane and understand the proteins in the plasma membrane. So when we begin to look at the cell, the reason that it becomes important to understand everything at the cellular level is because this is where everything happens. Doesn't matter if I'm talking about skin cells, liver cells, kidney cells, muscle cells, nerve cells, lungs, it doesn't matter, because every cell has to function. The plasma membrane is very important in that happening. Now, don't get me wrong. Nucleus, DNA, chromosomes, all important also. But here's the thing. For the cell to function, it has to get and use materials. The only way that it can do that is the plasma membrane. Now, if we start to look at the cell's functions, the cell as a whole, cells, how many of them do we have? How many do they kind of tell us that we're made up of as humans? They tell us, oh, you're trillions of cells. Mainly because I don't know if anybody wants to count. All right? I know I don't want that job. Just saying. The cell itself, at the cellular level, has to carry out metabolism. Once again, what is the definition of metabolism? It is the sum of all chemical reactions that take place. Just like we think about our body having metabolism, our cells have it also. And the cells have to get and use energy. The cells have to make molecules. What? What in the world could something so teeny tiny that I need a scope to see it, what would it have to make? Okay, the product that the cell is responsible for, which comes to us in the form of a protein, what else?
Energy.
Now, the cells are going to have to make ATP, and we can do that either in the cytoplasm or within the mitochondria. What else would the cell have to make? They have to make sure they get duplicated so that when the cell basically splits in two, information is carried forward. How about making all of its organelles? How about making cytoskeleton? How about making the phospholipids that have to make up the phospholipid bilayer, which is going to be the plasma membrane? Those cells have to make molecules. The cells have to be able to communicate. Cells need to be able to communicate within themselves, and they need to be able to communicate with other cells that are around them, other chemicals that might be around them. The cells need to reproduce and pass along inheritance, which would be the genetic material. In our case, being an animal, the processes for passing along the genetic information, it's going to require the cellular division of meiosis. Meiosis results in an egg and a sperm. When an egg and a sperm meet, fertilization occurs, And the organism from that point forward is created by mitosis. So we've got these two processes that will have to occur to make the to keep that organism functioning, and then of course to reproduce the species, to continue the species. With the plasma membrane, we're going to say that this membrane serves as a barrier between the outside environment and the inside environment. Now let me tell you what that means, okay? Cells are going to make up tissues. Tissues are going to make up organs. Organs are going to make up organ systems. Organ systems are going to make up the organism. Now, what do I mean by a tissue? Skin is a tissue.
Nerve tissue. Cardiac.
Nerve tissue, heart, nerves, muscles, okay? So, in thinking about a cell is going to exist with other cells. And those cells together are going to make up a tissue. When I say that the plasma membrane, which I'm representing with my little squiggly lines, it is the barrier between the inside of that cell and the outside. The outside of that cell is surrounded by extracellular fluid. Some cells of the body are going to have more ECF than others. The other part about studying the cell, I'm going to have to get you to change your idea of a cell. At this point in time, your idea of a cell was probably what we saw in the picture. Is that correct? Do you have another vision of a cell?
No, it's a tissue.
Any other visions of cells? Cells do not exist just in that shape. Okay? I'm going to have to kind of get you to think outside the box. All of the cells are going to have a plasma membrane. The plasma membrane, the production of a charge difference, i.e., membrane potential. What does that mean? Charge difference. What kind of charge?
So like calcium or anything like that, like the the solution's gonna be more positive on the outside than on the inside.
One side is going to be more positive or negative than the other. The inside of a cell is more negatively charged than the outside of that cell. The outside of that cell has a more positive charge. Do you happen to know what ion create